This is the Football Weekly Show, presenting an evening with football legends raising money for Make-A-Wish.
My name's Ron Harris, John Hollins. I suppose the big talking point this weekend is the Capital Cup, John.
Just a little game
Just a
at
little
Wembley,
game,
yes.
yes.
80-odd thousand people, which we will be there.
We'll be there working. Putting you on the spot, what do you concede the outcome?
Well, I think if you think to 1967 when we lost to them 2-1, we started to come back in the second half a bit. In this game, I think we've got all the good material. We've lost Matic. I don't think we've lost anybody else.
No.
I don't think through suspension or anything like that. But I think that'll be a great opportunity for us to get our own back. And I think we are strong enough. I think Tottenham had a bad game during the week, but I think we've got a great chance of getting 2 or 3 goals, especially Costa. Get him in there, get him in the box, because I think he's been a little bit quiet the last couple of weeks. But that's what I think.
I think that with the fellow Matic being suspended, I think it'd be a big blow to Chelsea. I still think they're more than capable of beating the Spurs, because I think they'd be doubly determined after losing 5-3 in the league game a couple of months ago. And I think that Jose will put out what he feels is his best team. I know we might be biased because we do the hospitality and we work at Chelsea, but I'm very confident that Chelsea will turn it over.
I think the players that we think, I think Hazard, I think is such a hard guy to mark and look after. He's got, he seems to be winning every competition, Player of the Year and this. I'm sure that's gonna happen. But if he could do this at Wembley, big pitch, wide pitch, we know what it's like to run on that pitch.
Yes, yeah.
And I just think he will be a very difficult player to sort. Which, if they emphasise coming over to Hazard, then William will start to do the right things down that side, and I just don't think they'll be able to handle him.
Well, I hope you're right, because, as I say, we've got a few friends. I've got a few friends going there come tomorrow, and I know they're very confident.
All the years we've played, how long ago was it?
Too long. I can't even remember what I was doing yesterday.
When you were a little boy coming into the ground. But I used to look up to you because you were in the youth team, and then I was sort of just coming in and sort of little shirt and tie and saying, and you should say, do what the coaches tell you.
As a youngster, I was brought up in North London at Hackney, Stamford Hill, which is
you were close, you could be
a big Spurs contingent. And I think if Chelsea is successful on Sunday, I think I might drive back there, see some old friends with a couple of Chelsea stickers on the back of the car, just to rub it in.
Well, the only thing I've got is, which I don't know whether you know about, is that I had a trial for Portsmouth and I had a trial for Tottenham, and both of them said I was too small. So I said to myself, I'll prove you wrong. And hopefully the Chelsea thing's still going on now. We'll prove how good we are, and we should be champions of our league. That's, going on a bit too far, but I just think it's the season. This is going to be Chelsea's season.
Well, I think that they're still involved in the European games. They had a good result.
Tough one.
They had a game in Paris, which was I think a tremendous result, and I think within the next few weeks could master Chelsea season.
We can't assume that because we've got those 4 or 5 points in the bag. It just takes one game and another turn or a draw or something like that, and all of a sudden that gap's closed. So we've got to be very, very vigilant and keep going. And at this moment, Man City are the closest, so we've got to be on our toes.
I think Southampton have been really actually been pleasantly surprised by them because they lost so many of their players last season.
Well, I think they surprised a few people this, although they got beat today, didn't they? 1-0. So I think it would be good for a club like Southampton to play in the Champions League, but I think they might miss out this season because I don't think they don't seem to have a big squad of players. Maybe rest or they get an injury or two, but I think if the season finishes now, I don't know whether they're 5th or 6th in the table. I think if you was a Southampton supporter, you'd say that's a good season.
I think it's a great season because Koeman has come in and the play like a bomb has dropped and exploded and everybody's been sold and this one and you'll be rubbish and you won't do this, you won't do that. But it shows how good Koeman and his staff are, and it just shows you that he can make players, he's searched for players, he hasn't spent millions and millions, he's spent what he thinks are worthy of a player going into his team. And they'll be there, they'll do well. So good luck to them.
As long as they get beat at Chelsea next home game.
Yeah, that's coming up, isn't it? That's coming up.
Thank you very much.
No problem at all.
Hello, how are you? Nice to be here this evening with my ex-coach, Pat Jennings.
Tommy goes back a long time, longer than me, and I didn't think there was not too many longer than me, but Tom has. Go on, Tom.
About the game, you
You
mean?
do a little rundown on your career where it started.
of my career, talk about my career, you'll be here all night.
Yeah, well,
Ex-manager of 14 great clubs. Well, they were when I arrived there. And I've had a fantastic career as a player, as a coach, as a manager, and I've always looked upon it as being reasonably well paid at the time for something that I loved doing. Actually, I'd have done it anyway, but to get paid for it as well, albeit not a tremendous amount, that was fantastic. And the game today, as I know it, is gone totally. You know, I look at it this way: a surgeon saves people's lives, and he gets paid peanuts. Yet you can get a very ordinary footballer picking up £200,000 a week. To me, that's crazy. It can't be right.
we're only jealous because we didn't get that. You know?
I suppose we are to a certain extent, Pat. Yeah, we are a bit envious, a bit jealous. Yeah.
Whenever we played, I think it was about managers always insisted it was about winning trophies and winning medals. And as Tom says now, I think it's about the money.
Yeah.
But it's totally different game, you know. They're showing football. Footballers are putting bums in seats throughout the world now. And I mean, in our day, you probably, if you're lucky, maybe get 12, 14, 15 matches a year on telly. Whereas now, as I say, more or less every game, certainly Premiership games right the way down, are being shown around the world. So the players are doing it whether we like it or not. So they are the ones that should be benefiting from it, rather than the people that own the television stations. For me, whenever we look back, probably the players in our day, they were looking up to us saying how lucky we were to be earning what we earned. But it's gone to the extreme, as Tom says now, you know.
I mean, when I first came to England from Glasgow Celtic to Preston North End, for 10 years, I played for 10 years at Preston with, excuse me, Sir Tom Finney, the Lionel Messi of today. And I remember he was on £14 a week in the playing season, and 14 in the summer when they weren't playing. And I was on 10 in the playing season and 8 in the summer when we weren't playing. And I remember I got my first cap again England at Wembley. We lost 2-1. And I went back to Preston on a Monday, which was normally our day off. And the manager, Bill Scott, said to me, "Many congratulations on your performance at the weekend." I said, "Thank you very much." He says, "The chairman was there, he said you did really well." I said, "Yeah, it went very well for me." He said, "What are you doing in here on your day off?" Which was a Monday morning. I said, "Well, you know that adage, strike while the iron's hot." He said, "No, I don't know what you mean." I said, "Well, from now on I want the same money as Finney, £14 all the year round." He said, "You're not as good a player as Finney." I said, "I'm in the summer." And I got my 14 quid a week all the year round after that.
Well,
unbelievable.
Yeah. I never, I wasn't there at the time of the minimum wage.
Yeah.
I joined Watford in 1962-63 at £23 a week and 25 if I made the first team. And believe me, in those days, I had just come off a mountain in Ireland working in a timber gang, and I thought I'd won the pool. £25 a week plus bonuses for playing football. Couldn't believe my luck. Yeah, I think we would have played for nothing, Tom, wouldn't we?
Yeah, of course we would.
We would have done, you know.
No doubt about that. We just
Somebody had
love
paid
playing.
the bills for you, yeah. Well, we're very lucky at Tottenham at the minute, my team. We have 3 or 4 boys in the team that have been brought up through the youth system. So we are doing brilliant from that point of view. And in our day, most of the clubs are 2 and 3 teams, the Metropolitan League, the Reserve League. Now we don't have that.
You see, and the loan thing is a farce. I mean, you had a situation where Alex Ferguson, all-time great manager, fantastic manager, he would loan Peterborough 3 players. If things went not well for his son, who was the manager at Peterborough and did a good job on and off, he brought them back to Manchester United. Because if it suited him, he'd loan them 3 players because he was his son. But when it wasn't his son's, he brought them back again. And that's what it's a farce. I don't think there should be a loan period at all.
Well, the only thing is that it does give them experienced players, you know.
Yeah.
I still work with the young goalkeepers at Tottenham, and we like to get them out to play in somebody else's team for experience, and the same with the outfield players. A lot of them are playing with teams now around the country on loan, and that's their way of learning the game. You know, they come back then and they've maybe 30, 40, 50 games behind them.
And the club share the wage structure, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is good, you know, it's brilliant for the kids. At least they're getting games.
And of course, they make mistakes as well, the clubs, with the loan period. The lad that plays for Juventus, Man United let him go for nothing. And now they allegedly tried to buy him back again for about 40 million. And he's told someone, I'm not going, I don't want to go back to Manchester United. Look what they did to me, sort of thing, you know. And great player, but they talk about him going elsewhere, but certainly I'm not going back to Manchester. So the loan period can work in many mysterious ways, yeah. And the problem is, of course, as well, if you let a player go on loan, he can enjoy it so much that the club is in loan too, that he doesn't want to come back. Because he's getting a regular game.
Right, well, first of all, it's an honour for me to be with yourself, one of the greatest scorers in history. Would you compare yourself, your style, with any other style of player now? Is there any player who's kind of like you?
I was an old-fashioned in-the-box striker, you know, who played with a very good team, you know, and I was sort of I was at the end of all their
Good
product.
play, yeah.
And people sort of say, oh, you were, you know, and I say it myself, I was a tapping merchant.
Well, that's denigrating yourself, that's downplaying yourself.
But, you know, even if you score what I say is a goal scorer's goal, which is, you know, like the end of good play and knocking it in the box, you've got to be in the right place at the right time. And the fact that there's not that many goal scorers, don't matter who can do that, shows that it's not all that easy.
It's not.
You know, I mean, we sort of say, well, it's easy to tap them in, which it is, and knock in rebounds and so forth. But you've got to be there. You know that, Pat.
Well, it's finding the space. Now, I'll ask you a question, because I always wanted to know this during my career. I played with some great strikers, you know.
Yeah.
Dalglish,
Yeah.
John Aldridge near the end of his career,
Yeah.
Kerry Dixon was a great striker, even Tony Cotty was a good striker when I was a good goal scorer, the type
Yeah.
we were talking about there. But Aldridge gave me the best advice. I mean, I'd been a striker all my life until I played for Chelsea, then he stuck me on the wing because I was small. But I'd been a striker, but I got the best piece of advice ever from John Aldridge. He said to me, try this, go where the defenders aren't.
Yeah.
And because I was always trying to go where I thought the ball would go.
Yeah.
And he says, go where there's no defenders. and I scored 20 goals that season.
Yeah.
4 of them
Yeah.
for Scotland.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it was just, I'd never thought about it.
Yeah.
I wish you would have told me that when I was 19, not when I was 30.
yeah.
It would have helped. But that's the skill.
That's
That's
good
part of the
advice.
skill.
That's good advice. But Pat, you've got to realise you had a skill, an absolutely brilliant skill that is probably least tried by many players. That's actually gone past people. That's a gift that only a few players, not in a side, but in in the country, that you can sort of say, well, this lad can go past people, he can beat people. And that's probably why they played you wider,
Yeah.
to spread the game wide. And I can remember watching you at a very important game, and you were the way out for the whole team. And you spread the game, or they spread the game to you to get you involved in the game, and you was able to do what they was hoping that you'd do, was get in behind defenders. And people like us then benefited from your absolute pure skill.
Actually,
We had Charlie Cook in our day.
Oh, what
you know.
player, what player.
Yeah, and he was a very similar player to you. In the sense that Charlie could beat people. The only difference was with Charlie, and I love Charlie, I love playing with Charlie, and he's tremendous.
I can hear a buck coming here.
But when you got around the back, you'd make a run. You'd make a run for the near post, and with Charlie, that run would be nullified by the fact that he would pull it
Back again, yeah.
and want to beat him again.
It's the winger's nightmare. It's the wingers should never. I've worked with a few, and you need to find it. But oddly enough, from the wide player's point of view, I always had two things in my mind. I would talk to my striker and say two things. Do you want me to try and find you, or do you want me to just put it in the area? And if you're not there, it's your fault.
Yeah.
And different strikers gave me different. What
Yeah.
would you have wanted? Would you want me to look for you?
We were trained to have it put in a space.
Yeah.
Don't find us. Put it in a space. We would find the ball. We would know that like people who were getting round the back would put it in a certain area. And sadly to say, I don't know if you've noticed this, but in our day there would be two of us attacking the ball from different directions.
Yeah.
One going
One
near
front,
post, one
one
going
back, yeah.
back. And then there would still be people around the inside of the box, just inside
The
the
Frank
box.
Lampard position.
Yeah. But today, you have a look at today, and like people get round the back, and they've only got one man to find.
Yeah, that quite often happens when people go too deep. One of the great things, you mentioned the fact that people going round. I've watched periods of the game, particularly in England, where I don't think there's been enough of those dribblers and those great. But we've got a couple now. I don't know. I mean, I adore watching Eden Hazard.
Well, that's
I mean,
it.
He's
I
fabulous,
mean,
isn't
I
he?
mean, to be quite honest, people, that ability, of your ability, of Hazard's ability, Cookett's ability, they can break down defences where, don't matter how good you are at passing the ball, if you can't go past, if you haven't got someone who can actually take on the opponent in front of him, then you're forever passing the ball.
Unless you can pass it through.
I mean-
We're going to get wrapped up in a minute here, right? So, I need to ask you a question which I've always liked to hear. Number one, around your time, who would your favourite other player have been in your position? I'm guessing, I've got one in my mind, right? And the other one would be, who would your favourite player of the modern era be?
Well, I love Jimmy Greaves.
I knew it was Jimmy Greaves. I had that one right. I knew it would be him.
I played
He was
with
brilliant. He was
I
unbelievable.
played with Jimmy when I first joined, Chelsea and got into the first team. I was his partner inside forward, and I worked deeper, and Jimmy worked, closer to the penalty box. And Jimmy was ice cold, and he could go past people and put him in a.
He went past people as a centre forward and went in inside right. Yeah.
And he was like a little eel. When he got on the ball, he was gone. And it was superb. And the only trouble with him was that the rest of the team said, like they'd score and they'd say, well, Jimmy would get us a goal, And the days that he didn't, we struggled, because we leaned on him too much. But nowadays, or like in more modern times, I loved the Dutch guy at Arsenal.
Beckham. Oh, he's special. Very special. Are we allowed to say that? Arsenal.
We're talking about great players,
You're allowed to.
and to me, he had everything. And I always thought that Chelsea had probably the nearest thing to him in Johnson.
Yeah, he was such an intelligent player.
Like
Pure
they
intelligence,
play,
yeah.
they play as much with their feet. They play with their brain.
Absolutely.
And
You almost. I mean, that's brilliant. You almost can't teach that side of it. You must have it in your body.
Yeah. Like people sort of talk about, like you say you were a striker in your early days, and obviously people saw the ability that you had to go past people, and they used that. Now we had Cookie, who had everything. He had 2 great feet, but the one thing that he sort of didn't build on was, I've got to score goals.
Yeah.
Like going past people gave him more pleasure than scoring a goal.
I understand that. I mean, I wanted to score the goals and make the goals. I didn't care who did, but I have to say that you have to get that into your head. I always wanted to be at least 1 in 5.
Yeah.
1 goal in every 4 or 5 games. That was good enough. That was what I wanted, and then a bit more creation as well. I want to give you my favourites of my time when I was playing with.
Yeah, please.
Well, obviously, now Silva and Hazard, of course. Iniesta looking a wee bit further. We don't even need to say Messi. Okay, so they're all under 5'7", and that might have something got to do with it. Yeah, I'll give you that.
Yeah, when you see the size of everybody and you think, do you have to be big? And I don't know how big your side was when you played. I mean, you had some big lads in the team, but like the little fellas, sort of like little.
As long as
fish.
you're brave enough. As long as you're brave enough.
Yeah.
I suppose my last line, by my time, well, I'm not going to talk about my time, I'm going to talk about the time before my time. There was a player for Celtic called Jimmy Johnson, and he was the best dribbler I've ever seen, so he was my favourite. And we better get going more. You talk all night, so we will. Well, a pleasure. Pleasure.
Hello, I'm Tasha.
I'm Johnny, and thanks for coming to our evening with football legends. We put on this event tonight on behalf of our charity, which is Make-A-Wish, which is a charity that's very close to our heart. It basically supports children with life-threatening conditions, makes their wishes and dreams come true. For us, it really started that we've been very fortunate to go to quite a few charity events. We've kind of been around and kind of met a few of the footballers over time, and we kind of felt that it was time to give something back. So we got in contact with our connections to the footballers, got in contact with Make-A-Wish, and decided to put this evening on. And without repeating myself, it is really just to give something back. It's taken a little while in the planning, a little while to get such an all-star lineup here. From that side, we just hope that we can raise as much money as we can for Make-A-Wish.
And you can donate other than tonight?
Yeah, we've got a Just Giving page still on for any people who want to make any donations. If you just go into our Just Giving, look under John Corbett and you see an evening with football legends. That's pretty much why we put it on. We just want to give something back. Everyone's been kind enough to us, so why can't we be kind? And I think when you start looking at a website and see, some of these children, what they have to go through and what Make-A-Wish do, they're not the biggest charities, they're run on donations, and to see the smiles on the children's faces is, it just means everything to us. So, yeah, that's pretty much why we're doing it.